Most businesses want to show up first on Google because they understand that Google is a great way to actually get a lot of leads. The people who go to Google and they search for the services that they need, they are usually looking for somebody to hire. So if you can get your business in front of all these people, then you can of course get a lot of leads and of course get a lot of customers as well. But you probably wondered, how many leads can you actually get if you show up at the #1 spot on Google? But this question is actually a lot more complex than it might seem. There's a lot of different factors involved. And in this video, I'm going to break down all those different factors and I'm going to give you a nice explanation of how many leads you can actually expect to get from Google. First of all, getting your business to show up really high on Google is really, really difficult. Especially because a lot of businesses want to do this because they understand how valuable this actually is. You are literally putting your business in front of people that are actively looking to hire you, especially if you live in a bigger city, because there's a lot of different businesses who have the same idea and they want to show up first. And of course, in order to show up above them, you actually have to beat them. But the beautiful thing is that once you actually start to show up really high on Google, then it's much easier to actually maintain those rankings and keep getting those kind of leads and even more leads over a longer period of time than it is for new businesses to come in and kind of swoop you up of the rankings. So of course, once you start to get really good results, then it's much easier to actually keep getting them. The reason why this is super awesome is because with all these different marketing strategies, you usually actually have to pay in order to compete. With SEO, it's different. If you had some budgeting issues tomorrow, you could stop your SEO services and you could still keep getting leads. The reason why it's super important to actually understand this is because even though it's going to take you months to start ranking and to start showing up high on Google and to start getting leads, and even though this method is a lot more difficult than, for example, just starting to run ads and showing up first immediately, the return on the investment that you get from this method over a longer period of time is incomparable to any other marketing strategy. In order to start showing up high on Google and in order to start getting leads from Google, you need to have a really good website. Your website needs to be optimized for SEO. You need to have a Google My Business listing. Your Google My Business listing needs to be optimized for SEO. And there's a lot of different factors involved as well. Doing all of these things, of course, is a lot more difficult, but like I said before, the return on the investment is much, much better. So if you need help and if you want to work with me and my team, then head over to my website, fill out the contact form, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll leave a link in the description, but of course you can also just type in this link right here. You also need to understand that there are 3 main places where you can actually show up on Google. Google Ads, Local Pack, and Standard Search Results. The first one, of course, is Google Ads. And Google Ads basically allow you to immediately show up first by paying, basically. It's pay to play. But the thing about Google Ads is the fact that businesses who show up first are the businesses who usually pay the most amount of money. So it can be a really expensive way to actually get a lot of leads, and it's not as effective as some other methods because when people see Google Ads, a lot of them are going to skip them. A lot of people are going to look at those businesses differently because they feel as if they're cheating by showing up high on Google. Even though a lot of people don't really care if you run Google Ads, a lot of people are going to skip through Google Ads and they will just go and see other search results. That's because a lot of people feel as if you're cheating if you're showing up first. And for whatever reason, they feel as if the businesses who actually show up first on Google without paying Google, they feel as if those kind of businesses are actually legit and as if those businesses actually deserve to be there. Even though it doesn't really have anything to do with the quality of their services and it has everything to do with their SEO, a lot of people still feel this way. The second place where you can show up if you're a local business is on Local Pack. Now, this is the best place where a local business can actually show up. The reason why this is the best place where you can actually show up is because a lot of people are going to look at this place in order to actually see businesses. So, when people search for services, this is going to be the main place that they look at. If you can get your business to show up here, then of course you can get a lot of leads. Now, you can only see 3 businesses, but a lot of people are still going to click on more businesses in order to find other companies as well. But the companies that show up here are the companies that are going to get best results. So in general, when it comes to showing up on Google, your goal should be to show up in the local pack if you are a local company. And the third most common place where you can actually show up is standard search results. And of course, even though this is still an excellent way where you can show up and get a lot of leads, an even better place where you can show up is the local pack. But basically all those things that I mentioned before, like building the website, optimizing for SEO and all that stuff, is going to help you show up here, and it's also going to help your Google My Business listing hopefully show up in the local pack as well. So basically you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Now the mistake that a lot of business owners make is that they think that they need to show up at the #1 spot in order to actually get leads. But This couldn't be further from the truth. Of course, ideally, you want to show up at the #1 spot, but this isn't the only place that actually gets leads. But for example, even if you're at the #3 spot and you have a lot of reviews and your business name actually makes sense, then you're actually going to get a lot more leads than these 2 spots above you. So ranking is not the only factor. Of course, you want to rank as high as possible, but this isn't the only factor. There's plenty of different factors that actually are super important, but the most important are reviews, pictures, your website, and those kind of things. The reason why reviews are important is so that people actually see that your company has been in business for a long period of time. A lot of people are not going to even read through those reviews. A lot of people are just going to see that you have a lot of reviews and then they're just going to call you. A lot of people are going to care about your website because, for example, if you're hiring a remodeling company and you really want to make sure that these guys are actually good and that their work is awesome and all that stuff. So you want to go to their website, you want to find out more information before you actually call them to give you an estimate. So there's a lot of different factors that are involved. For example, if you're looking for a kitchen remodeling company and you see 3 different companies on Google, so of course you're not going to look at a company that has a weird name, or you might not pay that much attention towards that company. So having a name that's actually relevant to the services that you actually want to show up for is really important as well. So there's a lot of different factors. Of course, it also depends on your industry. For example, if you're a landscaper, then you can get a lot more leads, and people don't really care about your website. People care mostly about the pictures of your work, and they care about your reviews. They see, for example, a lot of beautiful pictures on your Google My Business listing, and they will just give you a call immediately. So there's a lot of different factors involved. For example, also, how big is the city you're in? If you're in a really big city, then of course it's going to be more difficult for you to actually rank really high. But for example, if you rank really high in a really big city, then of course you're going to get a lot more leads than somebody who's in a much smaller city. Even though a lot of times, because the competition is too high in huge cities, businesses who are in smaller cities can actually get much better results because they can get leads faster, and of course they can actually show up in a wider area as well, which is another ranking factor. For example, you might be showing up really well around your neighborhood, but if somebody is showing up really well in 15-mile radius, of course, they're going to be visible to a lot more people and they're going to get more leads as well. So there's a lot of different things involved. And of course, here's a shameless plug. If you want to work with me and my team, then head over to logicalmarketer.net website, fill out the contact form, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But in general, there's a million different factors that Google actually looks at and that people look at when they decide which company they're going to call. So instead of worrying about being at the #1 spot, worry about covering as many of these factors as you possibly can. Try to get a lot of reviews. Try to take a lot of pictures of your beautiful work. Make sure that your website is really awesome and optimized for SEO. And the more factors you actually cover, then of course your chances are increasing and more leads you get. So hopefully this video helps explain all these different problems and different factors that are involved. Of course, in general, most of the businesses that I work with get approximately 10 leads per month. Remodeling contractors, there's a lot of landscapers that I work with that are getting 50 leads per month. So it depends on a lot of different factors. In the beginning, of course, you slowly start to get more leads until the point where you're ranking really well, at which point, of course, you start to get a lot more leads. So there's a lot of different factors that are involved. Of course, SEO is not as easy as some other marketing strategies, but the return on the investment that you get is really high. You can get awesome leads, highly qualified leads for $50 to $100 per lead. Meanwhile, you're going to go out there and you're going to pay a couple of $100 for some horrible leads. So basically, that's pretty much it what I have for this video. If you have any questions, definitely leave a comment. And of course, if you want to see more of these videos, subscribe to this channel and don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Have a good day, and hopefully this video has been helpful.